Man, obviously, I want to go for my buddy Rory. Rory MacDonald's a good friend of mine. I think he's, the guy's always evolving. He's always changing. He's always learning. But moving up to fight a monster like Gegard Mousasi, that's good. That's going to be a tough one. But I'm going to go with my man Rory. I think his ground game's a little bit better. I think he's walking around a little bit heavier too, so to compensate for the weight difference. So I think he's he's a big kid. He's like 6'2", 6'1", 6'2", and he walks around pretty heavy as well. I'm gonna go for my man Rory.
I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't have anything to do with the UFC. Those guys are irrelevant over there. There's a bunch of bums. That's the B League over there. So I don't make predictions on the B League.
I gotta go with Rory, man. I love Rory. He's a nice guy. He's a classic guy, and he goes in there to fight, regardless whatever he's hurt. He's going in there to fight. And I kind of relate that. No matter what, if I got a broke hand or anything, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna fight because I signed that dotted line, and that's my job is to sign that contract and show up to fight. So I got to go with Rory, man. He's a beast.
I think that Rory's much more well-rounded, so I'm going to go with Rory.
Man, close fight, very close. I think the only difference is Mousasi's weight. I think it's going to be bigger, and as everybody knows, man, he's fought some big guys before, fought a heavyweight, and I got a chance to train with him a little bit. When I was in Germany, he's definitely a big guy, big, tough, and man, I don't know. They're both very skilled. They're both good in the ground, good striking. I can't pick a winner there, but it's definitely a fight that I want to see close. I want to finish mine and go and watch it. Cage side. It's gonna be a very exciting, very fun fight to watch, and let the best man win.
That's another tough one, man. But Mousasi is one of my favorites, man. I think he's one of the best out here. So I think we'll go with Mousasi.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one to call. I went out to the Netherlands back in 2006, way back when, and me and Gegard had some good training. Gegard's an animal. He's a pretty big dude, and so is Rory. So. As far as that fight, I pretty much see it as a toss-up. What a great fight. I think that those guys are equally. I see those guys as equal. So I think whoever has more conditioning, more heart, and more focus is going to win that fight. Maybe it comes down to the weight cut. Maybe it's like what I was talking about. Maybe one of these guys cuts too much weight, and it affects his performance. And that's something we might see in this fight.
I would definitely be putting my money on Mousasi. Your first fight up in a division, it's a pretty big task taking on Mousasi at a new weight. Obviously MacDonald's been in wars, very well-rounded. It's going to be a great fight, and arguably one of the most technical fights that's probably ever taken place in Bellator. We'll see what happens that night, but two guys that are super well-rounded, don't have too many holes, and tons of experience between the both of them. So, like I said, though, I was gonna definitely put my money on Mousasi. He's bigger. I think MacDonald's main chances are going to be using his wrestling. And I think the size and, Mousasi has good takedown defense. He was fighting some of the great wrestlers in the UFC. I think, he's going to be able to keep the fight where he wants it. And it could go the distance, but, I believe Mousasi is going to be winning most of those rounds for sure.
First of all, that's a really cool fight. That's a good fight. I'm going to have to go with Gegard. I've always liked Gegard, but I never, he wasn't around long enough for me to meet him in the UFC, so hopefully one day I'll meet him. So, yeah, Gegard. I got Gegard.
They're both such high-level competitors, just in that every time they step into the cage, they're ready to go. And, I love Rory. I've been watching Rory. I think Rory was maybe one of the first fighters that I kind of looked at and was like, yeah, he's the whole package. I always picked Rory in every fight he ever had. And, he's just a beast. He's just special. But then you have Gegard Mousasi, who, when you get locked in a cage with him, man, he's somebody else. He always finds a way to gut it out, and He's never 100% out of a fight. And then especially, I mean, I would think towards the end of his UFC tenure, you really saw a different Gegard. You know, somebody that could really. It just showed his technical ability and how far it was past everybody else, and not only that, but like his cardio, all of that stuff. And that's just an awesome fight. I can't wait to see how it all pans out. That whole tournament's pretty incredible.
I think MacDonald is not ready. I don't think he's ready for Mousasi. I think Mousasi gets that one. I like MacDonald. You know, don't get me wrong. MacDonald's cool, but I think Mousasi gets it. You know what I mean? MacDonald's just chasing the check right now. You know what I mean? Rory's chasing the check. He ain't, in his last fight, he got busted up pretty bad. And I really still think that when he gets hit hard, he remembers that fight with Robbie Lawler. So, nah, that boy ain't never going to be the same.
I want Rory MacDonald to win, but I think Mousasi gets it just with the takedowns and the grappling. But Rory's an animal, man. Different breed.
It's an interesting matchup because I feel like Rory's getting in his zone right now. He's confident. I think his confidence is really high now that he moved over. And he's ready to scrap. I feel like his last few fights in the UFC, I don't know if he was just worried about the nose so much or because it kept breaking, that I felt like his confidence was dwindling a little bit. I think he's got his swagger back, so I'm going to go with Rory on that.
I see Mousasi. Mousasi doesn't really have any flaws, and I know MacDonald doesn't either. But it comes down to size, and Mousasi's the bigger dude. MacDonald's a decent-sized welterweight, but he'll be a small end of middleweight, and Mousasi's a big middleweight.